Okay, let's dive into this fascinating story. We're talking about a 10-year bet that wasn't made by some Wall Street hotshot, but by an amateur investor on an online forum. And guess what? They turned out to be spectacularly right. We're going to unpack how one simple observation grew into a multi-billion-dollar reality. And this is where it all started. A single question posted on the Value Picker investment forum way back in 2015. Persistent Systems a multi-bagger? Now, if you're not familiar, a multi-bagger is just investor slang for a stock that could go up many, many times its original value. This user, Karthik Kamath, saw something special in what seemed like just another mid-tier IT company. So what was it? What did they see that others might have missed? Well, the whole investment case was built on just a few key ideas about the company, forming a simple but, as it turns out, a really powerful prediction for the next decade. The whole idea was deceptively simple, but every single one of these points was critical. First off, honest management. In an industry that can be kind of murky, that's a huge plus. Then, being debt-free. Think about it. That gives you financial stability and the freedom to pour money back into growth. They were also laser-focused on something called SMAC, which was the absolute cutting edge of tech back then. And finally, they were still pretty small, which meant they had a much, much longer runway for explosive growth compared to the big guys. And here's a little snapshot of what the company looked like on paper back then. A market cap of around 5,600 crore rupees, so less than $1 billion US. It was trading at a pretty reasonable price-to-earnings ratio and pulling in about $310 million a year. And their entire strategy was built around that SMAC acronym: social, mobile, analytics, and cloud. Those were the building blocks of that era's digital transformation. Okay, so let's hit the fast-forward button. 10 years have gone by. The bet was made, the theory was out there. Now it's time to see the results. So did that original forum post actually nail it? Did Persistent Systems really become the multi-bagger everyone was hoping for? The answer is a massive, resounding yes. From a market cap of under $1 billion, by late 2025, Persistent Systems had soared to an incredible $8.5 billion. That initial bet didn't just pay off, it delivered a truly phenomenal return. And here's the engine that was driving that massive valuation. Just look at this revenue growth, especially in the last few years. The company just hit an insane acceleration phase, clocking a stunning 25.6% compound annual growth rate. This wasn't just stock market hype. This was backed by real, honest-to-goodness, explosive business growth. But what's maybe even more impressive than how fast they grew is how consistent they were. We're talking 22 straight quarters of growing their revenue. That's 5.5 years of getting bigger every single quarter, without one slip-up. Through a pandemic, global chaos, you name it. That kind of performance is just remarkable. So how in the world did they pull this off? Let's pop the hood and take a look inside the growth engine to really understand the strategy that powered this incredible run. Today, their business looks way different than that old SMAC acronym. Digital engineering, that huge 45% chunk, that's the real heart of it now. And this isn't just basic coding. This is about helping their clients dream up and build brand new digital products from scratch. You pair that with deep expertise in data, AI, and the cloud, and you can see they've planted themselves right at the center of what every modern company needs to survive. And here's their new mantra: AI-led, platform-driven. They basically changed the game. They went from just being a service provider to being a full-on transformation partner. They're not just writing code anymore, they're embedding artificial intelligence into everything and building these huge, scalable platforms to totally reinvent how their clients do business. You can actually see this whole journey laid out in their own words. They talk about their history and orbits. They started out in their first orbit doing product development, rode the digital transformation wave, and have now blasted off into a sixth orbit, where everything, and I mean everything, is centered on being AI-led. It shows you just how deliberate and strategic they've been. And management is super clear that this isn't them just jumping on the latest buzzword. Like they said on a recent earnings call, they've been building these AI skills for several years. Because they put in that work years ago, they can now go to customers with real, sophisticated AI solutions that solve problems instead of just playing catch-up like everybody else. Of course, no investment is a straight line to the moon. To get the whole picture, we have to look at the challenges, the risks, and what might be coming up on the road ahead for them. So here's kind of a balanced view. On the one hand, their strengths are obvious. They're fast, they have a great reputation, and they're focused on high-value tech. But investors are also keeping an eye on the concerns. For example, about 35% of their revenue comes from their number one client. That's a big risk, right? If that relationship ever goes sour, it could have a major impact. And let's be honest, after the incredible run it's had, the company's valuation is definitely not cheap anymore. Looking at this journey through all these different strategic orbits really tells you something important about them. It proves they can pivot. It's one thing to have a great run, but it's another thing entirely to reinvent yourself over and over again. From product development to big data and now to AI, this history suggests they're probably pretty well equipped to handle whatever challenges come next. So really, when you boil it all down, the secret to Persistent's success wasn't just being in the right place at the right time. It was their incredible ability to adapt and evolve. They managed to ride these massive technological waves by staying nimble and, crucially, by investing before everyone else did. That's what turned a 10-year bet into a 10-year triumph. The whole story kicked off with a simple what-if question on a forum. And now that what-if has become an AI powerhouse. It just leaves us with a new question for the next 10 years, doesn't it? After mastering so many transformations, what on earth will Persistent's next orbit look like?